This is probably going to get me a lot of hate, but I think one of the most racist people there is white women who have black kids. Let's talk about it.
If you are a therapist that specializes in Black culture and or the trauma of being Black in America, and you are a therapist that specializes in being mixed or biracial in America, because there is a level of trauma that comes along with that, please stitch your information and I will do edit and post it on my page. I will create a folder specifically for you and your details. I want your information to be known for everyone. I'm not excluding anyone else from any type of help, but I do know from experience, being Black and being mixed is a different dialogue. It's a different conversation. And there needs to be a specialist that specializes in that to have the conversation with. Post your information or tag me on somebody else's page and I'll repost their information.
You can definitely tell my son is, biracial. And they always say, well, he's like Visa, he's accepted everywhere. But I have to tell him, I raise him in a way to let him know you're going to come in contact with people that look like your mother. And they're not going to like you. They're going to be on guard because they're not going to trust you, because they're going to wonder whether you think you're better than them. And I said, your two cousins who are the same age as him, or a year younger, who are both darker skinned like me, I said, there are going to be places where they go and they're going to be treated differently. And every single time I'm going to expect you to stand up for them. No one chooses to be in this color skin that they're in, but you can choose to identify how you want to identify, but make sure that you're also protecting those around you who feel ostracized, who feel marginalized, because you do have Black privilege. So I teach him, I have those conversations with him, but he also already recognizes just from the melanin in his skin that he's kind of the white boys in his school kind of treat him a little differently. Also, what he sees in society is that just a little bit of melanin can get you in trouble with the police, or just a little melanin, someone's following you around the store. If you're thinking about getting into an interracial relationship, or if you have an interracial child, stop hiding from the conversation. Make it happen. Talk to them. Have empathy. Ask what they're experiencing at school, how they feel when they see images of Black men dying at the hands of police when their dad is white and their mom is white. Stop doing this color blindness. You are hurting your children.
So you know how we be kikiing that there's a difference between white mama biracials and Black mama biracials, right? This is an actual sociological phenomenon that I really think we could trace back to slavery. Stay with me. So back in the day, the child would take on the status of the mother, which means that no matter how much Blackness you had in you, if your mama was a slave, your mama could have been a mulatto, a quadroon, a full Black woman. If she was a slave, you would therefore be a slave. So you had children who had white slave owner daddies, but were being raised, the labor of raising them was on their Black enslaved mothers. And whether or not we want to admit it, culture came out of slavery, right? So not only were these children taking on the status of being enslaved, they were taking on the culture of being enslaved. They were taking on norms, music, language, etc. They were seeing themselves as Black people, regardless of their genetic makeup. And their Black enslaved mothers had to navigate that with them. They had to raise them through that. And white men were able to continue procreating these biracial children with no consequence. So much so that there were laws saying you couldn't technically rape a Black enslaved woman because Black enslaved women were naturally promiscuous. But on the flip side, Black enslaved men weren't really having kids with white women like that. They literally would be caught dead if they did. White women would still sexually assault them, or if there was a sexual relationship, the Black men would just be accused of assault if they got caught. And we've seen that play out for decades. So by the time that interracial relations became legal, there had been centuries of white men being able to rape impregnate Black women, and Black women having to raise those children as their own and embed them within slave culture and Black culture. But Black men never had to do that same type of labor. If anything, Black men actually being able to legally be with white women was a way for them to remove themselves from their Blackness. Coveting a white woman became a form of like a revolutionary act, because then you're coveting the white man's woman. This literally explains so much, because Black men, in the context of interracial relations, Black men never had to have the labor of having a biracial child and yet still having to explain and raise that child in the status of your own, having to explain to this child their Blackness, having to explain why the world sees them this way, why they're being treated this way, helping them navigate their experience in Blackness. So then if you throw in on top of that the weird exploitative nature of Black men and white women being together in a relationship, where white women have always sexualized Black men, and now Black men are like, white men, we can legally cover your woman. Who is teaching their child about Blackness? About Black culture? Who? The white woman for sure don't care. Okay, we see white women cry on this app every fucking day about, oh my god, my biracial child realized they're black. And then black men, I mean, you've never really had to navigate that situation for centuries like black women have. So again, who is telling this child about their blackness?
A question to my fellow mixed race peeps out there. When did you realize that your white parent should have never had children of color? I'll go first. My mother has 3 children of color. I'm the youngest. And the like turning point, like a lot of stuff that's happened when I was younger, I didn't realize it was problematic until I got older. But this one hit me straight in the face. My sister, her kids, and my mom and I, we were on our way to go see my grandmother. My mom's radio station went to commercial. I changed it to the hip hop station of our town. She then proceeds to slam her hand on the radio to try to change it and said, and I quote, "I'm not listening to that nigger shit." But you're white and you say the N-word. I'm just telling you not to say it. That's it.
Well, I'm not going to have my child tell me what I can and can't do. Sorry, it don't work that way in my life. No, I was raised.
Yeah, that's the thing. You were raised differently. This is a new generation. I'm just saying you can't say that.
I'm telling you can't live here, so how about that? So, you tell me I can't say something, I can't live here?
You're being over dramatic.
No, I'm tired of being disrespected by you.
I'm not disrespecting you by telling you, as a mixed person, telling a white person, you can't say that.
That lets me know you don't have any fucking love for me, Asia, or you wouldn't feel that way about me saying that.
What?
You wouldn't feel that way at all.
I don't have any love for you because I don't want my white mother to say the N-word.
You are picking me out. You are racial profiling against me. White. That white person can't say that.
No white person can say it, not just fucking you.
Just tell your dad that you're moving in.
No.
Yeah, or then you need to find somewhere to go. Because I don't want you here.
I'm being kicked out because...
Yep. I'm racist. Tell him that.
You said a racial slur. No matter if you said it with an A or an ER. Racial slur. So that's it. I'm being kicked out.
You're an adult. You can find your own place. You got a job.
Do you still think you're blacker than me?
I'll always be blacker than you.
Really?
Yeah. You are the whitest black person I know.
Okay.
Stop sending your biracial black children to white good schools. Therapy is expensive. That degree won't matter if they're crazy. Experience.
Us biracial kids with the white moms are the most problematic.
No, but can we talk about how us biracial folks, that's me, with white moms can be the most problematic, because a lot of times our white mothers will expect us to take on identities that reflect their own, because the sacrifice of motherhood is so severe that they kind of want their biracial black presenting children to reflect their white experience. And I think a lot of folks like me, frankly, are just unwilling to challenge their mothers and say, like, I love you, but you are wrong. I love you, but my experience is different. And I love you, but I refuse to carry beliefs that are going to be violent towards other members of the black community, because I love my blackness too much to hold those beliefs, right? And that will cause like a rift with some family members, and has for me, but I would never take it back, because I don't want to be one of those people who holds us back.
Okay, so this one is for all my POM parents raising children of color. I just finished watching a video about a black lawyer talking about immigration, where highly educated immigrants come into the country and then have issues getting jobs that they are qualified or even overqualified for. And they make the mistake of listening to locally born POM people that say, oh, well, you just have to go out and network. Oh, well, you just have to go do this or that. And the lawyer makes the point that, like, no, you don't. Like, that advice is not for you. It's actually 100% synonymous to the advice that POM parents give their children of color. It took me a long time to realize when I was growing up that when my mother told me to just, go out and do A, B, and C to get whatever result, because that's what worked for her and that's what was successful for her, that it didn't matter if I did that exactly or how well I did that. It was not going to lead to the same result. I am a parent now, and I completely understand that we get excited about imparting our wisdom and advice to our children because we want it to be better for them. We want to say, listen, I've lived, I've learned, and like, this is how you got to do it. As a POM parent raising a child of color, there are going to be a lot of experiences that they have that your proximity to is not going to allow you to fully understand or experience. So if you're giving advice based off of your life experience, in many regards, it's irrelevant. I think truly understanding the implications of this is a tough pill to swallow.
Wait, what gives it away? Is it our deep-seated insecurity? Is it our self-hatred? Is it our perpetual identity crisis? Is it the fact that we will literally tell anyone who will listen that we feel uncomfortable in our own skin? Or maybe our familial struggles, perpetual depression, maybe an unalive attempt? I would agree that it probably is very obvious that we have white moms. I would say my own personal experience is that I would rather have not existed at all.
It's been a while. So I want to talk about the big elephant in the room when it comes to mixed people, right? Oh, you can tell who has a white mom and who has a black mom. Yeah, you can. The ones with white moms, a lot of times, they're either so aware, like painfully aware of what it's like having a white mom, or so on the other end of the spectrum. Like, there's no in between. And it's painfully true. The one thing, the major difference I feel like, and I've seen another creator talk about this, is like black moms might drop the ball on like regular parenting shit, like as does everyone else, but they never drop the ball. They never drop the ball on raising their kids to be confident in themselves as far as their race. Like, they never let their kids grow up confused about who the fuck they are racially and ethnically. Like, I just don't see it happening. Black women are the most aware of their race and their gender. Like, we literally have to be hyper vigilant about how we experience life. And so black women have to raise their kids in a world where everyone else will be trying to tell them who they are. I feel like black moms are like, no, like, this is who you are, you need to stand in that. White moms, a lot of the time I just see are so fucking clueless. I'm sorry to say it, but like, they have these kids for sport, right? Like, they're like, oh, like, this black guy is so fucking hot, and wouldn't our babies be so cute? And they raise their kids like not knowing who they are, not knowing how to identify. A lot of times they'll raise their kids around all white people, which is even more confusing. And personally, like, my dad also dropped the ball. Like, we can blame him too. I just feel like it's not fair. Like, I didn't consent to having a white mom. And I wish white women were more careful about who they had kids with. Because you have to transform your entire life. You have to unlearn every fucking thing that you've ever learned if you want to have a child with someone from a different culture. I would never, like, for instance, be with someone who's Asian and be like, but I'm not going to give up any of my prior cultural practices and you need to assimilate with mine. Like, I would never do that. I would be willing to uproot my entire life to make sure that my kids were accepted, at the very least, within their family. A lot of mixed kids with white moms do not get the same grace. They just don't. White moms, not all, because I know some who do the damn thing, but it's very rare. It's very rare. And I just don't see black moms struggling with that.
My mother, very stereotypical Eastern European woman, super tough, hardcore. Like, the way she taught me how to swim, she threw me into a swimming pool. The way she taught me how to use a toilet, She never used diapers. The way she taught me about racism, she made sure my father was black.
My mother was, she'd be categorized as like the really cool white girl. You know, when we were growing up, when I was growing up early, we were always around people of color. We were always in the village. We were already around gay people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Type girl she was. So, you know, hooked up with my dad. She figured it out real quick. Mm-hmm. You know, he a player. I got to bounce. Mm-hmm. But her parents was old school Irish. You know, they was like, they wasn't having that. You can't be dating no black dudes, this, that, and the third. But when my mother died suddenly when I was 9, it was in a car accident. Mm-hmm. It was me, mom's, and her girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And they both died. And I survived. Yeah. The parents that hadn't spoken to her, and maybe like, I was about 9, 10 at that time. Hadn't spoken to her at that time. Went to court to get her her pension. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like who does that?
This is dumbass, stupid shit. Now, as a biracial man with a black father and a white mother, I can tell you, I didn't fucking meet my white family till I was 8. They were alcoholics. My mom didn't want me around them. I only knew my black family for the majority of my life. Still to this day, I know my white family. I don't call them. I don't hang out with them. They don't come around for Thanksgiving, Christmas, nothing. Because we didn't go see my white family on holidays and stuff like that, you know where we went? We went to go see my black family. And then even after my parents got divorced, my mom talks to my aunts, my dad's sisters, like every day. My mom talks to my black family more than my dad. But yeah, there was a bunch of other dumbass comments about biracial people if y'all want to go read that. But be safe.
Okay, how? Tell us how to bond to our white mothers who would not be our friends if we were not their children, who would not have us in their life in any way, shape, or form if we were not their children. How should you bond to somebody like that as a child? Tell me how. Since you know so much, how? How do you bond with somebody who has no desire to be around people who look like you? How do you bond with somebody who has no friends who look like you, who has made a conscious choice to not have non-white friends? Because in this day and age, especially if you're not just living in some small product town, it is a choice. So since you know everything, tell me how you would bond to that person. How would you do?
So I've been seeing a lot of white mothers make videos about their biracial children and kind of wondering what it's going to be like for them growing up. And me being biracial, I can kind of give you a little bit of insight to that. My mother's white and my dad's black, and I grew up in a single parent household. So when I was younger, a lot of people used to be like, oh, you're mixed, you get the best of both worlds, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you get the worst of both worlds too. So for like my whole childhood, I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood, and I had to fight and I got bullied a lot for being biracial. But it wasn't until I moved across the bridge to a predominantly white neighborhood that I encountered real racism. And all throughout middle school and throughout high school, I started getting in trouble because I started fighting, because I was getting called racial names and getting bullied for being mixed. And there'd be times I'd walk down the street even, and people would throw things at me and call me niggers out the window. And I remember I really started encountering racial resistance when I started running the police. And I remember one time the police stopped me and one of my white friends, and he told me that I didn't belong on this side of the bridge and that I belonged on the other side of the bridge. And I also remember one time where me and one of my white friends snuck into a movie because we didn't have any money, and management caught us and called the police, and they let my white friend go, but I had to go to juvie. Those are just small, minor PG examples. So let me tell you, white people see biracial people as black, and black see biracial people as white. That's the reality of it. They can't really comprehend that there's a line down the middle, and we don't fit into either one of their worlds. So if you're a white mom and you have a mixed son, he's probably gonna grow up dating white women. And if you're a white mom and you have a mixed daughter, she's probably gonna grow up dating whatever race she sees you date. When I was younger and I started dating white girls, and I'd get a lot of racial backlash from their families. My girlfriends and I used to get harassed a lot by their families because they were dating me. And even my fiance even just recently got disowned by her family because they told her that when she was younger to never bring home a black guy, and yet we're engaged. I remember one day I went to go help my grandmother, my white grandmother, and she asked me, she's like, why don't you date your own race? And even my grandfather, he told me that once they found out that my mother was pregnant by a black guy, they were no longer going to allow her in the house, or they wouldn't allow him in the house. He even told me that they weren't going to allow me in the house because I was of mixed race. But that all changed once I was actually born. And even by my extended white family, I've got called a lot of racial slurs, got excluded from a lot of family events. But the good thing about growing up biracial is you'll be able to culture shift a lot more easily. And you'll develop better cross-culture communication skills. And the world's changing, and it allows us to be more in tune with reality.
I hope no one heard that. Yeah. I hope no one heard that.
She's provoking me. She wants me to get ghetto. She wants me to get ratchet. And I could.
Okay, I have something I want to say about black moms living in majority white suburban towns. So, you get in a group and you're the only black mom. Or maybe you're one of two. Or maybe you're in this group and there's another mom in the grade under you who happens to be black. We are sparse. So what I want to say is, this is to the white moms. The white moms, when you look at one of the black moms, and one of them is real fucking in your face, like very Negro, power to the people, and you're like, ugh, she makes everything about race. And you prefer the other black mom because she's more quiet and soft-spoken and kind, and you think one is just like so extreme and annoying. I have news for you. If there's like 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 black moms, guess what? You might think they're not linked up. Those bitches be talking to each other. They be talking to each other. And you want to know the craziest thing, white moms? They all have their own experiences with you. They have their own experiences with you that they share with each other. And they be up on the phone sometimes till like 2, 3 in the morning just cackling about how racist you are and about how delusional you are. So you might want to you make everything about race shit somewhere else because, moms like me, we're not the only ones. Like, we fucking link up and have like secret black people meetings where we just like dog you the fuck out and like lay out every racist thing you've ever done to us. And we all laugh about it. We all laugh about it and we all talk about you. So I'm just letting you know that.
Have you ever felt like being somebody else? Feeling like the mirror isn't good for your health. Every day I'm trying not to hate myself, but lately it's not hurting like it did before. Maybe I am learning how to love me more.
So I completely agree with this. And normally the way this usually works is you'll see it where it's a black man, normally dark skinned, and all of his black children are older children. And the biracial kids are the younger children. Because he stopped dealing with black women and then moved into dealing with non-black women or really, really fair-skinned black women. But you will usually notice it's never the other way around, usually. It's never older biracial kids, young black kids. Like, it usually don't go that way. But you'll notice that if he on social media and he show off his kids, he will have a page full of the biracial children and you'll almost never see those black kids, right? And then if you confront him about it or say something about it, he'll say that the black kids don't like being on social media or they don't like to take pictures. But the reality is, no, you just don't like showing them off the way you like showing off them biracial kids, and that's just what it is. It's so easy to pick up on people's BS, and that's part of the reason why it's just so difficult for me to entertain conversations with a lot of people just in general, because I pick up on when somebody lying to me or when somebody BSing me about something, and I just don't trust dark-skinned men with biracial kids. I'm sorry, I done seen it play out way too many times where they usually colorist. I wouldn't take the risk.
Your hair what? Yeah, white girl hair. Yes, you do.
Caucasian.
The Caucasian.
I'm not white.
You're not what? You half white?
You are half white.
What you think your daddy is? That's half white. Look, girl.
Offended when we say that.
Right.
Like, you always get it, but when I be like, oh, you a black girl. Okay, and? What, you black and white though?
I love your hair though. It just frizzes. You really need to do something to it though.
It's a messy bun. Today it's a messy bun. It's supposed to be messy.
You gonna be a handful.
Where's your necklace? Your other ear?
Hey,
So
bro!
I know, the piece. I got a chain for it.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm gonna steal her chain.
Oh!
I took this video when I lived in Los Angeles, California. I ran into a Caucasian woman and her biracial son at the mall. He said, "Mommy, I don't want to wear a dress." And she grabbed him by wrist and said, "You're going to wear it." It's crazy.
Better ingredients, better pizza, better bitches, better money, my clothes better, my shoes better.
As my parents, what's the biggest struggle that parents face when they have biracial kids?
Helping the children to understand that there are two cultures involved and helping them to understand each culture evenly.
I struggled actually not knowing. I didn't have the awareness that they had struggles.
What advice would you give to parents now so that they can help their kids who are biracial?
I would encourage all parents to embrace any questions, to answer them all, and to not leave any stone unturned.
You know we down.
You know we down.
You know we down.
It's kind of making me mad. So many people keep saying, oh, she definitely has a white mom. She has a white family. Oh, she's adopted. Yes, I'm adopted. I have white parents. And they're like, your parents should have taught you to love your hair. Oh, they did. Some of you guys know this, but not all of you. I'm from a predominantly white area. My mom did so much research for my hair. I remember being little and her just watching YouTube videos about black hair. She preached to me to love my hair, but I didn't love my hair because everybody else around me had straight hair. It wouldn't have mattered if she was black or not. I didn't like my hair. It had nothing to do with her. It was the area I grew up in, and they can't help that. Don't be talking about my mom like you know me.
Hey y'all, this is how I do my biracial son's hair. After a night of hissy fits where he did not want me to do his hair, I just told him, you know what, we'll do it in the morning. The first thing I did was spray it with warm water because he has low porosity 3C hair. This means pretty much his hair is kind of like a little duckling and water just slides right off of it. So the method I'm going to use today for this style is LCO, which is leave-in, cream, or jelly. I'm going to be using both, and then oil. This is just kind of what works best for us. I'm just going to go through with my detangling on. Also, I'm going to use some gel. Now these two products right here, I usually will not use these if we're doing like a wash and go, or maybe I'm doing like a 2-strand twist or something like that. I will not use this product because it just seems to weigh his hair down completely. But for a protective style, it really seems to deliver a lot of moisture. And then this is jojoba oil. I usually use the rosemary mint oil from Miel, I believe. But my lovely son decided to pour it out on my couch. So, yeah, we don't have any more of it, and it's $10 a bottle. So, we're gonna be using this one from TJ Maxx. Now here's the worst freaking part. And I do not understand how y'all do this, but I cannot part his hair to save my life. Like, look, this is the best I can do, and it ain't even that good. I ain't even gonna lie. And then here's where all hell breaks loose. I noticed my part's not straight. He's crying and wants a break. So, spoiler alert, he did not let me finish his hair in the style I wanted to. I ended up just doing some Bantu knots. This is the only 2 pictures I got of them. So, yeah.
As a white mom with biracial kids.
Nigga bitch with this haircut. Come here. About to cop a new fit in this haircut. Don't ask me to do shit. I got my haircut.
I had to learn how to do hair.
Man with this haircut. I'm trying to fuck you and your friend with this haircut. Barbara say.
Okay. Ooh, this out, ooh, ass this out, ooh, hit it. Ooh, this out, ooh, ass this out, ooh, hit it.
I'm gonna need y'all white parents of biracial kids to listen in real quick. I'm gonna give you fair warning, this might be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's necessary. A lot of y'all's kids have complexes and identity issues, and it's not because they have a white parent. It's because a lot of y'all chose to have biracial kids before you unpacked your internalized racism and anti-blackness. It's because a lot of y'all have biracial children without learning enough about the Black experience to guide your child through a Black experience, to guide them through a world that is inherently anti-Black. Cutting off your racist family members is not all it takes to raise a biracial kid. In fact, that doesn't even come close to the bare minimum. You can have the best intentions for your children while still causing them collective harm. And I first noticed this when my daughter was an infant and I started joining Facebook groups for parents of biracial kids. These white moms would have the best intentions, yet end up on Facebook crying about how their child was saying they didn't want to be Black and they hated being Black. And because these parents did not take the time to educate themselves whatsoever on systemic racism and anti-Blackness on a level that they would be able to appropriately raise a biracial child, they were on the internet crying for help instead of helping their kid. You cannot shield your child from experiencing anti-Blackness in the world, but you can equip them to deal with it. I get told pretty frequently that my daughter will be mistaken for a Black mom biracial. Now I'm going to explain to you why. First and foremost, she is not raised in an anti-Black environment. A lot of Black men, white women relationships are inherently anti-Black, due to the fact that the relationship is based on fetishization and the hatred of Black women instead of mutual love. The way that I look at it, the world is constantly going to be hurling anti-Blackness at my child. And instead of acting like it does not exist, I have been equipping my child since birth to be able to handle said anti-Blackness through radical self-love and positive identity. My child has at a young age told me that she wanted to be white to match her family. Right then and there, we had a very long conversation about anti-Blackness and racism at 4 years old, and how her Blackness was the most beautiful part of her. She made a comment one time about her baby doll, her Black baby with coily hair, being ugly. Again, we had a long discussion about colorism, texturism, and racism. After that day, that baby did not leave her hip. You cannot just be not teaching your kid to be anti-Black. You have to be preparing them for an anti-Black world. You have to ensure that you are not feeding your child a complex towards other Black people, that you're showing them how to cherish and uplift their community. See, biracial kids with white parents can be raised to be pro-Black, but many aren't. And that is because their environment and their role models are not pro-Black. If you don't want your child to have identity issues, it starts with you. It is wholeheartedly possible for you to educate yourself. A lot of y'all simply choose not to.